Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Love and Hip Hop Atlanta review, so let's just get right into it because a lot happened in this episode. So at the beginning of this episode, Salma is having a conversation with 24 because she's trying to make new music and he's supposed to be her manager, but she says that he's been slacking as her manager lately. She says that he's been so caught up in other things that he's been putting managing her career on the back burner and she's not really liking it. So she said that she would like to add another person to the management team so that they can pick up the slack when he gets too busy doing other things. And he was not happy about this. And look, I don't like the way that he handled this, okay? We know that Salma is not perfect. She's been getting caught up in a lot of lies, but if he's unable to do his job to the best of his ability of being her manager, then I don't understand why he has an issue with her getting somebody else to do it. I really don't like the way that he brought up the things that he does for her. Like, he said that other women would kill to have a husband who tells them that they don't have to work, but technically Salma is working. If she's making music, doing music video shoots, she's modeling and all that stuff like that, technically she still is working. She's just not working a regular job. So I just didn't like the way that he handled this conversation. And this is why they say don't mix business with pleasure. So Kirk and Rashida are going through a lot right now. The two of them are dealing with the fact that their children are involved in something really serious. I don't know if all of this is the truth of what exactly happened on that day, but allegedly Kirk's daughter was in an abusive relationship with a guy, and her brother, who is Kirk and Rashida's son, ended up being there while she was being abused, and in order to defend his sister, he ended up unaliving this man. I don't know if this is the facts of what happened that day. This is just what I'm seeing in the comment section. This is what I'm seeing being reported, and Kirk and Rashida hinted at the fact that Kelsey was being abused during this relationship, during this conversation on this episode, so I'm just going by what I'm hearing them say. I'm not really feeling that they're using this situation as their storyline for this season, but then I have to look at the reality TV side of this, and it's their life, and this is their TV show that they're on, so I just feel like, you know, if they didn't address it, it would have came up at some point anyway this season, because let's say Rashida and Kirk get into it with somebody on the show is going to end up mentioning that situation to get back at them, so it would have ended up coming up anyway. Now, Yandy ends up meeting with Carly and Bambi to talk about the situation between her and Mendeecees. We know that in last week's episode, the two of them had an emotional meetup where they both agreed that they were going to take a break. They didn't say that they were going to be done forever, but they said that they wanted something different because they both haven't been happy for a really long time. And Yandy gets emotional during this conversation with Carly and Bambi, and honestly, I felt bad watching this, okay? Because we know that there's been rumors going around about them cheating on each other, but we know that they do love each other and they've been together for a really long time. So it really is sad seeing things come to an end between the two of them. And this is not to say that at some point they might not get back together, but for right now they are not together and they're separate. And I just understand why she's hurting about it, because they've been together for quite some time. They have children together. They built a whole life together. Their brand is together for the most part. And so it's a lot to adjust to. And I mean, Mendeecees ends up meeting up with Jock and Scrappy in this episode, and he lets them know what's going on between him and Yandy too, that the two of them ended up breaking up. And Jock was about to give some advice, and I'm sorry, Scrappy was cracking me up throughout this episode because he is funny. He gives good comedic relief sometimes throughout the episodes, because when Jock was about to give Mendeecees some unsolicited advice, Scrappy immediately interrupted him and kind of shut that down a little bit, which I thought was funny. And then 24 ends up coming up to them because obviously this is an event for Salma's performance, and he goes up to Mendeecees and daps him up, and Scrappy tells 24 that him and Mendeecees are going through the same thing, and 24 was confused because he doesn't feel like he's going through the same thing as Mendeecees. And I just think it's funny because Scrappy just be saying anything. I mean, technically both of their women have rumors that they've been cheating, so technically he is going through a similar situation as Mendeecees, because Salma's saying that she didn't physically cheat on 24, but she did admit to those text messages being real, and Yandy did admit to Mendeecees that she allegedly ended up having an emotional affair with somebody else. So technically they are in a similar situation, but 24 is not going to admit to that. I mean, when the guys ended up asking him how him and Salma are doing, he said that they were overly good. And I will say, I do respect the fact that he's not going to address the ins and outs of his marriage to Salma with these other people, because he knows that they just want to get the gossip, and he's not about to do that. He's trying to save face in front of people because he doesn't want people to know about the issues that him and Salma have. And I do respect that he has his wife's back. Now, Salma ends up doing her performance, and after she performs, she goes and sits down with Carly, Rennie, and Bambi, who who all ended up showing up to support her performance, which she was surprised about because all three of them are good friends with Sierra, and obviously we know that Salma and Sierra got into it pretty bad in last week's episode, and so she was surprised they even showed up. And we all know that Carly's messy and she wants to know the gossip, so she ended up asking Salma about, Sierra's brother-in-law, and Salma kind of shut that down a little bit, and she just wanted to talk about the meetup that she had with Sierra because she said that she didn't respect the fact that Sierra was just accusing her of sleeping with her brother-in-law when she has no proof that she slept with him. And Carly and Rennie immediately challenged her because they said that they saw the receipts, and the receipts show that she has been talking to him. And Salma doesn't even deny the fact that she had this text message conversation with Sierra's brother-in-law, but she denies sleeping with him. She claims that they would go to the club and he would buy bottles, so basically she says that she was using him, and then she says that this was 2 years ago because Bambi was questioning her like, wait, how long ago was you using him to buy bottles at the club? And she said it was 2 years ago, so nothing that she's saying makes sense. None of it adds up. You can tell that she's not being completely truthful about what she's saying. And Salma tries to call Sierra a weird ass bitch, and that's when Rennie, Carly, and Bambi shut that down really quickly because they said that they're not going to allow her to talk about Sierra like that because Sierra is their friend. And I do like that they defended Sierra, that they told her not to call her any names because they're friends with her. I think it's good to defend your friends in their absence. That shows whether you're a real friend or not, and so I like that they did that. But man, oh man, Scrappy just be doing anything on this show. He is messy and funny at the same time because he goes and pulls 24 to the side while they're at this event, and he starts telling him that they don't have to talk on camera, but he wants to know what 24 really thinks about the situation with Salma and Sierra's brother-in-law. And I thought it was crazy that Scrappy was saying that they're not being filmed because it's like, even if they're not being filmed, they're wearing their microphones, and Scrappy knows this, so I don't understand why he thought that somehow whatever 24 says during this conversation wouldn't get caught on the microphones. And 24 basically said what he's been saying, that he's standing by Salma, that he doesn't believe it because he said that Salma was on the phone with this guy in front of him, and the dude basically denied that they slept together, so he said that he was going to believe Salma. So I think it's crazy that people keep coming to him about this situation because clearly he's saying that he doesn't care about it, and maybe he does care about it and he talks to Salma about it behind the scenes, but he doesn't want to do it on camera. Who knows? But in front of the group, he's standing by his wife. But then Sierra and her husband, Zay, end up showing up because in last week's episode, they did say that they were going to show up and confront Salma and 24, and that's exactly what they ended up doing. And it seemed like Sierra was already tipsy when she walked in. I don't know if she's drunk or if she's on something, but every time she's talking, she's slurring her words, and she can't really get her words out straight. I don't know. Something's up with Sierra. But Sierra and Zay end up walking up on Salma and 24, and Sierra immediately says that her and Salma met up the other day, and 24 didn't know what she was talking about, and that's when Sierra was playing off the fact that she feels like Salma doesn't tell 24 things because she told 24 that there's a lot of things that Salma doesn't tell him. And so I felt like Sierra shouldn't have been addressing 24 at all. I feel like she should have just been addressing Salma and let her husband deal with 24, but that's not really how this went. And so 24 and Sierra start having a back and forth with each other, and that's when Sierra's husband Zay ends up getting involved, and he tells 24 that he needs to get his girl and not worry about Sierra. And that's when 24 ends up calling Sierra a hoe. And when he calls Sierra a hoe, that's when things turn all the way up. Zay tells 24 that Salma has been texting his brother and sleeping with his brother and that he saw it go down. And so that's when 24 and him start really going back and forth with each other. And then Sierra ends up telling 24 that Salma wants a tall, slim man that can basically handle her in bed because she feels like, 24 is short and chubby and he can't handle Salma and he's not what she wants. So Salma tells Sierra that she needs to worry about having a baby because we know that Sierra has had a lot of miscarriages. And so Sierra ends up taking a drink and she tosses it at Salma, and that's when things turn all the way up because that's when 24 starts running at Zay and they're getting ready to fight. Security is trying to pull them away from each other, and while security is pulling Sierra and Zay out of the building, Sierra ends up yelling out to 24 that every time he kisses Salma, he's tasting her brother-in-law's eggplant, and that was crazy. Like, that was wild to say. Honestly, everybody felt some type of way about that being said because at this point, they feel like there's no comeback that Salma or 24 can say to that. And there really isn't, and there was nothing said after it. That was crazy for Sierra to say that, but at the end of the day, that's on Salma because she shouldn't have put her husband in this position to where now everybody knows that she's been talking to this guy behind her husband's back. Everybody's using it against them. And I know 24 was embarrassed. Honestly, I would have been embarrassed too because that's crazy. And when Sierra and her husband end up getting escorted out of the building, Rennie, Bambi, and Scrappy are having a conversation about everything, and they're saying that they don't understand how Salma even has the time to cheat on 24 because she's with him all the time, but then they admit that there are moments where they're not together. So So and when they're not together, maybe that's when she's doing it. But I have to agree with Mendeecees because he cut into this conversation and he said that if 24 is standing by Salma and he's not going to believe anything that anybody has to say about her, why does anybody else care more than he does? And Carly ends up going to check on Salma and they have this conversation, and 24 ends up coming over there and he's still a little bit hyped up after almost getting into a fight with Sierra's husband. And so he's kind of talking really loud and, you know, Carly feels some type of way about it. She feels like he's being aggressive towards her. And Salma immediately ends up telling 24 that she didn't like the way that he made that situation escalate because she feels like he was the one that turned things aggressive. And look, I get what she's saying, but at the end of the day, he's only in this situation because of Salma and he's having her back in this situation. So I really don't feel like she should be mad at the way that he handled things because he handled things trying to have her back. Everybody's coming for her and not him. So I just think it's crazy. I do feel like, though, no matter what people show 24, he's going to stand by his wife anyway. So I really do think that they should stay out of it. But those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.